Right. So I'll be demonstrating the programs using the Fedora operating system or Linux operating system. So those who had registered for the lab, for them it will be helpful. In parallel, I'll be also covering the concepts of C. So those who are registered for the lab, they will also know how to run the programs using the Linux operating system, because the same machine will be used in your labs. Okay. Okay. So I'll begin with the first C program. So usually whenever we talk about learning any new programming language, we always write a hello world program. So I'll quickly write this program. So this is the command to create a file in C in Linux. Vi is the command. So I press I key from the keyboard so that I'll be in the insert mode, and this is where I'll start typing the code. I hope the code is visible to you all. Uh, Whatever I am typing, is it visible? Okay, fine. Uh, Hash include stdio.h, int main, printf, hello world. Okay, so this is the first one. This is the first simple C program to get started or to begin with. Okay, so this is the first code. So I'll explain this code briefly. This hash include is the one that starts with hash is referred to as a preprocessor directives. Hash includes one built-in header file called stdio.h, wherein the definition of printf will be available in this. Okay, so stdio refers to standard input output library. So any file that ends with .h is a file which comes with some of the features or functions which a programmer can easily make use of. Printf is a function in C with which we can display the messages as a output, because when we are writing a program, sometimes we need to give input to the program, as well as the program can respond back to the humans. So that IO operation is possible with printf. So printf is used to simply display. It means the computer or the machine is able to send some message or display some message so that humans can read it. Hence we use printf for this. So printf is a output function. Soon we will see one more function called scanf, with which we can also take the give the input to the program, right? So after typing the program, sorry, and also this main acts as a entry point of the C program. This is the syntax of main. You can write main without int also. You can write main without int, not a problem. But if you do that, you might have to remove this return 0. Again, depending on the compilers, they might give some warnings, right? So, so main is actually a user defined function which acts as a starting point of the program execution. So wherever you write main, your compiler will find that main and start executing from that point onwards. Uh, Whatever we write here, or whatever you are able to see here, a pair of flower brackets, they are referred to as scopes. Okay, so whatever you write in between a pair of flower brackets is referred to as body of that function. So printf is said to be inside the main function. There are various ways to write main. Simplest way to write main is the one that is shown over here, but most of the compilers in Linux, they expect you to they expect the main to return some integer value. Hence we say that main returns an data of type integer. So you can see here this int is shown with some green color because it is referred to as a keyword. Okay, uh, it's actually a data type, a built-in data type. So if you say int main, you have to write return 0. So 0 is an integer. You can even write return 1. So that's not an issue. So any integer value you should return. Okay, some of the textbooks also give, instead of int, they say void main, and even in the pair of rounded brackets or parentheses, they specify void. In such scenarios, you just need to write return without any integer value, right? So all these are various ways in which you can write main. I usually follow, it's my personal preference. I usually follow writing main like this only, right? So this is the first C program that displays some message or a line of text onto the screen. Here clearly the syntax of printf is shown. You need to write printf and write a pair of parentheses. Inside that, in double quotes, you display the message or you write the message that you want to display, and this backslash n is referred to as a new line character, which makes the cursor go to the next line. So I'll now compile this program. So I'll press escape colon wq so that I get that dollar prompt again. Now I need to compile this program. So cc is the command to compile, and name of the file should be given as an input to this cc command. When I press enter, if there are any errors in the program, it displays. Otherwise, the command is successful. So when I type ls command here, I'm sorry, yeah, what you would see is there will be one file that gets created called a.out, right? So a.out is referred to as an executable file. You can also observe here it is now being shown with a bold green color, right? So a.out is generated. It's an executable file only when the compilation is successful. So I'll prove this fact. I'll remove this file now. Okay, so when I type a.out, you can see here now it says that a.out is not found, right? So I'll now compile the program again. Hello world. So I'll clear the screen. cc hello world. Now when I type ls a.out, you can see here it got created. So what I try to prove with this observation is that cc command on successful compilation of the C program creates a file called a.out. So always whenever you modify any content to the C file or whenever you create a new C program, always it's a good practice to compile it. Okay, so now I'll going to execute it. The command to execute is dot front slash a dot out. When I press enter, you would notice that that message hello world has appeared onto the screen. This is how you will compile. Now again I'll open this file. This time I will show you what happens if you do not include this backslash n. So I just removed that backslash n. Again I will save it colon wq. So since I have modified this C file, it is my responsibility to compile it again. Check that whether it's successful or not. The compilation is successful. Then dot slash a dot out. This time what you observe is after printing hello world, this dollar prompt is actually displaying in the same line of this output. The reason is because I have removed this backslash n. So backslash n makes the cursor go to the next line. So that is the importance of using backslash n over here, right? So I'll introduce backslash n, and also I'll now I can write, say, instead of hello world, welcome to PSPC online class. Okay, so again escape colon wq. Since I have modified the program, again I need to compile it dot front slash a dot out. So when I press enter, this time instead of displaying hello world, it is now showing welcome to PSPC online class. Okay, so this is the basic program to display a simple line of text onto the screen. I would like to quickly take up any questions if you are having. You can put it in the chat box, or you can unmute the mic and then ask the doubts. I'll wait for a few seconds. If there are no doubts, I will just continue. I hope there are no doubts in this, so I'll continue now. Okay, so this is the program just to display some message onto the screen. Next, in the last yesterday's class, I talked about algorithm and flowcharts. we tried to the first algorithm or the flowchart that we wrote was addition of two numbers, right? So I'll try to write the program for this. So I'll now delete this, or rather I'll create one more program for this. Sorry, Q, clear the screen, vi addition.c. So I'll create a new program for this addition.c. Again I'll write hash include stdio.h int main, after main a pair of parentheses. Okay, now to perform addition, we need to have that equation c equal to a plus b, and c, a, b are actually referred to as variables, right? So how do you create variables in c? It is specified with the declaration. It is like this: int refers to, as told previously, it refers to a data type. There are actually four data types, fundamental data types available in c: int, char, float, double, and optionally there is one more called void. So there are basically five fundamental data types, and out of them most used ones are four: int, char, double, and float. Integer refers to only integer data type, int refers to integer data type, float and double refer to floating point data types, char refers to your character data types with which you can store the alphabets or any character that you can type from the keyboard. So this program definition of addition requires three variables. So I'm going to create it right now: a, b, and c. Okay, and these are referred to it as variables in c. So some memory gets allocated whenever you specify like this, and this statement or this line of text is referred to it as declaration. Okay, always in c it is good practice to specify some default values to all the variables that you define. In fact, if you have referred the solution pdf that was shared by spk sir the other day, if you refer the program for programs on lab termworks, wherein you will notice that all the variables which have been created are initialized with the default values, right? What do you mean by default value? For integer, the default value is 0. So it is a good practice to always initialize the default values for the variables. And a, b, c are integers, so I am specifying a, b, c as 0 values. This seems very strange at the initial point, but it is a very much required step. Even if you don't do it, it works sometimes, but it's a good practice to always have specify some default values to all the variables that you create. So now this becomes both initialization as well as declaration as well as initialization, right? So I have created three variables. Now I need to read the values of a and b from the keyboard. So for this I use a pair of printf and scanf statements together. So I'll write enter the values of a and b. Recall in the yesterday's algorithm and flowchart sessions, we used in algorithm read a and b, and in the flowchart we used a parallelogram and then specified read a and b. So this is done in actual C using a scanf. Since you are reading two integer variables, you need to specify two percentage d's. This percentage d is referred to as a format specifier, and d refers to integer data. So if you are reading any floating point value, you need to specify f, percentage f. Okay, and the syntax goes like this: you need to put them. So since you are reading with you want to read two values of uh, a and b, hence you are supposed to use two percentage d's continuously. So if you are reading three values, you are supposed to use percentage d's thrice, right? So after, in a pair of double quote, after you put those percentage symbols or format specifiers, these are called as format specifiers, you put a comma and then specify this percentage d refers to which variable. So first I want to read a, hence I specify ampersand a. Ampersand means that I want to store the value that is read from the keyboard into the address of the variable a. So ampersand refers to the address of operator. Then after reading a, I want to read b, hence I have written this statement. So this is a scanf statement which reads two values, and whatever the integer number that I specify as the first value will go to A, and whatever you specify as second value will go to B. You might ask why I am not reading the value of C, because you are not supposed to read the value of C, you are supposed to compute the value of C. Okay, so afterwards I am now going to compute it by writing this statement, C equal to A plus B. Then computation is done. I am done with the computation, so I need to display the result. So I'll have to say printf result equal to percentage %d, because C is again an integer variable, percentage %d, and because I want to display the value of C, so I have to use percentage %d in the printf, and after double quote putting one comma here, I have to specify that value or the variable C. You can see here I have shown you the two uses of printf. In one printf there is no output, or there is no variables are displayed. You can see here in this printf I am not displaying any values of the variables, but in this printf I am displaying the values of the variable, right? So whenever you want to display the value of a variable, always use the format specifier. Same way, whenever you are reading the value of the variable, always specify format specifier inside the scanf. Okay, so now this is the program. I'm now going to save it, escape colon wq, compile it. After the compilation is successful, /a.out. Now it is asking me enter the values of a and b. I'm going to enter 10 space 20. You can also give enter also, 10 enter 20. So scanf waits for the user to enter the values from the keyboard, and till all the values are stored in the proper variables, it will wait indefinitely. So when I press enter now, because I have entered two values, it is immediately going to display the result as 30, right? So what happened here, the first value 10 got stored in the variable called a, and the second value 20 got stored in the variable called b, because that is the way I wrote that scanf, right? So I can also run the same program with different values. So this time I am going to enter 45 and 78. You can see here immediately it is displaying the result, which is addition of two numbers. Okay, so now I'll quickly modify this program. Now suppose what if I want to subtract the values. So we have an operator, arithmetic operator called minus. So instead of plus, you just need to give a dash. Dash refers to a minus operator. Since I have modified this program, I'm going to compile it, clear the screen, run it. So I'll enter this time 45 and 23. You can see here now it is displaying the result, which is subtraction of two numbers. So 45 minus 23 is 22. Similarly, I can also demonstrate after subtraction you have multiplication. Star, as we noted, star is the symbol for multiplication. Again I'll save this program, recompile it. Okay, enter. So you can see it is now displaying a larger value because it is the multiplication, right? Similarly, we have two more operators. One is for division, front slash is the division operator. Okay, now let us see what happens when I run this program. Okay, so I'll compile it now. I'm going to run it. Okay, so now I'll enter 10 and 20. What you see here is, interestingly, it is displaying the answer as 0, right? The reason behind this is actually 10 divided by 20 is actually 0.5, right? So why it is not displaying 0.5? The reason is C is an integer which cannot store floating point data. Hence you are displaying 0. So 0.5, which is 0.5000, the whatever that comes after the decimal, after the dot which is decimal, everything is truncated and only 0 remains, so that gets displayed over here. So whenever you are dealing with a division, see to it that the result is of type float. So how do I actually correct this problem, or how do I correct this program? I need to make this C as float. So I'll do it later. Before that, I would like to demonstrate one more arithmetic operator, which is the mod operator. If you recollect from the yesterday's session for of algorithms and flowchart, you notice that mod was already discussed yesterday, right? So when we were trying to write an algorithm and flowchart for finding whether a number is even or not, even or odd, we use this mod operator. And I told you that mod operator returns the remainder, not the quotient. The integer division operator, which is front slash, returns the quotient, and mod operator returns the remainder. So let me now compile this program and run it. This time I'll enter say 15 and 10. You should guess what will be the output, because when you try to divide 15 by 10, you will get the remainder as 5. So you should get the output as 5. So you can see over here you have got the output as 5. So by cleverly using division and mod operator, you can easily get to know what is the quotient as well as what is the remainder for that integer division. Okay. So now what I have demonstrated you here is all the arithmetic operators that are available in C. So I'm going to write them over here as a comment. In fact, this is the comment. So whatever you write it with a pair of front slashes, it will be put it as a comment. You can also see this comment is now being shown with a blue color, a slight blue color. Okay. uh, so arithmetic operators, there are actually 5. One is addition, followed by subtraction, multiplication, division, and mod operator. Okay. So these are few of the arithmetic, in fact these are the only arithmetic operators that are available in C. Okay, right. So next, what if I want to display the actual result? When I specified a division operator over here, and when I say A is 10 and B is 20, the answer was 0. So I want to display 0.5 instead of 0. How do I do it? As told earlier, this C must be made as float, right? So I don't want the C to be integer now because it truncates the fractional part. I'll now make C as float. Since C is float now, the default value of floating point variable is 0.0. So I'll now go ahead with the compilation, and also here when you are displaying the result, since you have made C as float, instead of %d you must make it as %f. So the format specifier that is to be used to display or read a floating point value is %f. Okay, so I will again write it as a comment over here. %d for integer, okay, %f for float, and for char you have %c. Okay, right? So you might ask, what is the format specifier for double? Okay, many of you might not have come across this. It is lf. Lf refers to long float. We hardly use it in C, so we don't see even most of the textbooks giving giving the code to read the double values. Okay, so to read character you use %c. To read double data type values or to display you use %lf. Lf represents long float. For floating point values, to read or display floating point values you use %f, and you use %d to display the integer data type or to read the integer values. Okay, so because I have made this C as float, I have made this C as a float, I have to change that from %d to %f. Okay, so this is how it is. So I'll now compile this, save it, recompile the program. Okay, clear the screen. This time I am hoping that this gives the proper output. Let us see what happens. 10, 20. There is some improvement with the previous execution of this program. Previously it displayed 0, but only difference now is it is displaying 0.0000. please observe after decimal notation, after dot there are 6 zeros. We call this as a precision of the floating point. Okay, right. The default precision of this data type is 6 zeros. Okay, now we have actually not solved this problem. I wanted 0.5, but it is still displaying 0.000, right? So means the answer is still truncated. The fractional part is still truncated. The reason is very simple. If you observe this division, both a and b are integers. So whenever a numerator and denominator, if both are integers, it is referred to it as an integer arithmetic. Okay, so the technical term that is given for such scenario is called as integer arithmetic. Okay, and it always truncates. Integer arithmetic always truncates the fractional part. Okay, so this is the most important thing to be noted at this stage. What is that? Whenever both the numerator and denominator, whenever in a division operation both numerator and denominator are of type integers, the result will always be integer. So 10 by 20, the division is 0.5. Since both a and b are integers, the 0.5 gets truncated to 0, and that 0 is stored in c, and since c is float, 0.00 will be displayed. Okay, so this point you please note it. Integer arithmetic always truncates the fractional part. Now how to solve this problem? This problem can be solved by making either numerator or denominator or both. Okay, listen to this. You can make either the numerator or denominator or both in the division as float or as fractional values. How do I do it? There is one concept called explicit typecasting. Okay, so I now make this a as float. Okay, so this is called as explicit typecasting, right? So this is referred to it as explicit typecasting. Okay, so by following the concept of explicit typecasting, I can make temporarily one of the variables to be of different data type. Okay, so now what happens? Now a is float, so one of the either numerator or denominator is now not a both are not integer, so the answer will be always in a fractional answer. So I'll now compile this program. This time let us see what happens to the output. This is a very important concept. This is followed in all the programming languages, so be very cautious about this. Okay, so 10 and 20, you can now see the difference. It is now displaying the answer the way we want. Okay, so this concept is very important. Please understand this. Now I can try it with any values, it still works. Okay, so if the numerator is greater than the denominator, say 13, you can see the answer is still being displayed with properly. I'll try to print the value of pi, so 22 by 7. You can see here, now this answer of pi is accurate up to 6 decimal places. Why I am saying that it is accurate up to 6 decimal places? Because after dot there are 6 integer values like 142857. Okay, right. So this is about this is actually referred to it as a mixed mode arithmetic. Okay, or floating point arithmetic, right? Okay, so now what I have introduced to you is all the arithmetic operators available in C. So how many operators are there in C? How many arithmetic operators are there in C? There are actually 5 arithmetic operators available: addition, here, plus sign, subtraction, minus, multiplication, star, division, front slash, and percentage symbol for mod. Okay, right. So now you might be asking, like this, how many operators are there in C? What are the operators that are available in C? Okay, so the answer to this question is shown over here. I'm now going to show one image which was of course downloaded from the internet, which shows the all the arithmetic operators and their precedence. You just leave about this precedence or associativity. We will I'll come to that later. So these are all the operators that are available. The list that you are going to see here, or you are seeing here, are the list of operators that are available in C. Okay, so I'm going to just briefly discuss about each one of them, not going in depth. Okay, because in the further sessions, in the next forthcoming sessions, you will be seeing the usage of most of this. Okay, so in the first row that you are seeing, this table contains 3 columns. The first column you specify, they have given the operator, what is the symbol for that operator. In the second column they have specified the description of that operator. Third one is the associativity. Associativity matters when you have operators of the same priority. Okay, so in the first row they have listed few operators. The first operator which has the highest priority is referred to it as a parenthesis operator. Okay, this is usually used in the function call, as we had seen it in the main function. Next we have a pair of square brackets. It is called as a array subscript operator or a subscript operator. It is used whenever you are using the array notation. Okay, and dot operator is used whenever you are using structures. Even this arrow operator, dash and greater than symbol, both together is referred to it as arrow operator. We use it during structures when you specify the pointer to a structure. Next we have increment and decrement operators, plus plus and minus minus. You see that both these appear twice over here in the first row as well as in the second row. The difference is the one that is specified in the first row is referred to it as a post increment or decrement, and the second one that you see here, second row that you see here, is called as pre increment or decrement. Okay, so both work differently. I'm not going to go in detail about the difference between the post increment or pre increment, or similarly post decrement or pre decrement. You can refer the text, and if you have doubts you can clarify it with me offline. So increment, decrement are one such operators. Plus plus increments the value of the variable by 1, minus minus decrements the value of the variable by 1. So based on the relative position of this plus plus with respect to the variable, it is specified as postfix as well as prefix. So when I write a plus plus, okay, so when I write, say when I write a plus plus, it is referred to it as post increment. The reason why it is referred to it as post increment is because this plus plus operator comes after a, after the variable a. But how do I specify pre increment? You just need to write plus plus a, right? Same way you have a minus minus, you also have minus minus a. So based on the relative position of this increment or decrement operator with respect to the variable, it is referred to it as either a prefix increment or decrement, or it is referred to it as postfix increment or decrement. Okay, right. So more than that, above this I'm not going to elaborate more on this because it requires separate sessions to deal with this in detail. Next you have plus and minus. These are not addition operators, these are unary operators. Suppose you want to specify a number as negative number, minus 10. So there you use this plus and minus. Next we have something called as a not operator. Not operator is actually a logical operator, and this tilde symbol, this horizontal S is referred to it as a tilde symbol. You can type this tilde symbol by pressing shift and dot keys, shift and backquote keys, the key which is besides this one. You can type this tilde operator from the keyboard. Okay, so this is referred to it as a exclamatory mark. So this is the exclamatory mark, and this is a bitwise complement operator. Okay, so this is called as a typecast operator. I had already demonstrated you the meaning of typecast operator when I specified this one. So this is the typecast operator I was talking about, right? Okay, next we have a star operator. This star is a pointer operator. Ampersand, as I told, it's the address of operator, and size of is the operator which returns the size of the data type in bytes. So you might ask, these operators have not been logically grouped, but they have been grouped with respect to the priority. So in an expression, whenever a parenthesis operator is used, that gets the highest priority. Okay, and later one, all the operators are priorities are decided. Okay. Yes. At this point, is anyone having any doubts? Is anyone having any doubts at this stage? Okay. Yeah, voice is breaking maybe because of only reason is because of the internet connectivity. Okay, fine. So I'll continue. Fine. The next one is the arithmetic operators star front slash division plus and minus. It is important to note at this stage that out of these arithmetic operators that are specified here, star, division and mod are of having higher priority, and plus and minus are having lower priority. Hence they are specified in the second row. Okay, so out of the arithmetic operators, star, division and mod have a relatively higher priority than plus and minus. After this, you have something called as bitwise operators. One of the bitwise operator is your complement operator. The next one is bitwise left as well as bitwise right shift operators. I'm not going to talk about these bitwise operators at all. These are some of the relational operators that are available. This is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Usually whenever you are trying to solve problems which require decision making constructs, most of the time we use relational operators. Okay, so yesterday's algorithm and flowchart session, uh, when we try to find whether the number is even or odd, or whether one number is greater than the other, we have to use this relation operator greater than or other operators depending on the need, right? So whatever you see over here, they are all relational operators, right? So out of these relation operators, less than or equal to, greater than or greater than or equal to have higher priorities compared to double equal to, which is used to check for equality, and not equal to, which is used to check for inequality. Okay, next comes the bitwise AND operator followed by bitwise OR. Okay, sorry, this is bitwise exclusive OR. This is bitwise OR inclusive OR. This actually is a vertical line. You need to type that using shift as well as backslash key. Okay, if you specify two ampersand symbols together, it is referred to it as logical AND. So this is a logical operator. uh, Logical OR, two parallel symbols forms the logical OR. We also have ternary operator, which is with question mark and colon. Okay, next comes the assignment operators. uh, they are equal to, plus equal to, minus equal to. This refers to addition or subtraction assignment. Star equal to, front slash equal to, so on and so forth. Okay, so you might ask, what is the meaning of this plus equal to, minus equal to, and so on and so forth? This actually is a shortcut operator. Suppose I want to write this statement, c equal to c plus b, right? So I can in fact write it this way, c plus equal to b, right? So both are same. Both statements in C mean one and the same. C equal to C plus B can as well be written as C plus equal to B. How can I write C equal to C minus B? I just write C minus equal to B. Okay, so it's also referred to it as shorthand operators, shorthand assignment operators. They do both. They also perform addition or subtraction depending on the operator, and also perform the assignment. Okay, and the last operator is called as comma operator. We had already seen this comma operator while we were declaring the variables. So you can see over here, a equal to 0 comma b equal to 0. So this comma is a comma operator which has the least priority. Okay, so here also you can see comma operator being used which has the least priority, right? So this chart basically shows you how many operators are there in C as well as their priorities. So which is the operator that has the highest priority? The parenthesis operator, a pair of parentheses. Which is the operator that has the lowest priority? The operator with comma has the lowest priority. Okay, so if you remove this comma operator, the immediate operator which has the lowest priority is equal to sign. And also you can now come back to the third column over here, which is referred to it as associativity. Okay, associativity is used to decide how that expression is evaluated when there are multiple operators of the same priority. Hope you are getting. If there are multiple operators that are used in an expression which are of the same priority, then how do you evaluate it? This is done with the help of a associativity. So associativity, there are two possible values. One is from left to right and the other one is from right to left. Okay. Recollect, in the yesterday's algorithm and flowchart session, I said when you write C equal to A plus B, instead of equal to, I told you to use reverse arrow mark symbol. The reason is being equal to, which is assignment operator, has the associativity from right to left. So whatever is the data that is there in the right hand side will be copied with the left hand side, right? Hence its associativity is from right to left. Okay, so there are very few categories of operators whose associativity is from right to left. You can see over here this ternary operator with question mark and colon has associativity from right to left. All assignment operators as well as their shortcut operators have the priority associativity from right to left, as well as these operators which are basically unary operators. Okay, they have the associativity from right to left. Rest all operators in C have associativity from left to right. Okay, so uh, in an expression, to evaluate the expression properly, two things are very important. One is its priority and second one is its associativity. Okay, so first priority is decided, then followed by the associativity. Okay, so to explain this fact in detail, I will now try to modify this program uh, with respect to one expression. So I'm now going to write one expression. Okay, so I don't want these printf and scanf statements here, so I'm going to delete them. And I also don't want this a and b, I just want a, right? So I'll just replace this c with a, right? So now I have an integer expression, right? A equal to 10 plus 20 minus 25. Okay, right? So this is an arithmetic expression because this expression involves only arithmetic operators. Okay, so this is an arithmetic expression. Now how to evaluate this expression, right? So if you observe in this arithmetic expression, how many categories of operators are there? There are two categories. One is the arithmetic operators, which are plus, minus, star, division and mod. In this case only two we have used, which is plus and minus, and the second operator is assignment operator. So if I want to evaluate this, I need to refer to this chart. So from this chart I know that addition and subtraction operator has been used, and note down its priority compared to this assignment. Plus and minus, compared to assignment, plus and minus have higher priority because they are available in the initial rows, and this equal to is in the rows far below the row of plus and minus, right? Hence assignment operation will happen at the last and plus and minus will occur first, right? So now out of assignment, equal to and plus and minus, we have resolved the priority of the operators. So always addition arithmetic operators evaluation happens first, followed by the assignment. Now we have one more some small problem. I have two operators plus and minus which are having the same priority. So if you see the priority list in this, both plus and minus occur in the same row. correct? Now whether 10 plus 20 occurs first, then subtraction occurs first, or whether 20 minus 25 occurs first, then is followed with 10, or addition of that answer with 10. Now how to decide this? Because there are two possible ways in which you can solve this expression. The first possible way is I will add 10 plus 20, which is 30, and to that you subtract 25, which is 5. The other option is I will subtract 20 with 25, which is minus 5. To this I will try to add 10, you get 5. Of course, in this case, in both scenarios, you get the same answer, but since there are two operators with the same priority, which operator should be evaluated first? Okay, I hope you are understanding. Now there are two operators with the same priority, same level. Which operator should be given the first preference? This is where the associativity of the operator comes into picture. So as I already told before, associativity comes into picture only when you are dealing with the operators which are of the same priority. So now plus and minus are of the same priority. Now observe their associativity. It says that it is from left to right. It means given this expression which has arithmetic operators, you should start evaluation of this expression from leftmost part to the rightmost part. So which is the leftmost expression of the arithmetic operator which is available here, which is plus. So what happens? Always 10 will be added with 20. So 10 plus 20 will be 30, right? Now this 30 gets replaced with 10 plus 20. So the leftmost part is finished. Then the remaining negative sign will be operated. So it gets subtracted with 25. So the final answer you get is 5. So obviously the final answer you get is 5. But how exactly the evaluation expression happens? From left to right. So this is where the associativity comes into picture. So associativity doesn't come into picture. In fact, it is not so important when you don't have operators of same priority. But if there are operators of the same priority, you do need to worry about the associativity. Okay, so when I run this program now, compile and run this program, it will yield the answer as 5. I'm sorry, a dot out. I'm sorry, I should change the values here. Since a is the integer, it should be percentage d. Okay, so I will clear the screen. Addition.c dot slash a dot out. You can now see the result is 5. Okay, right. Now what would happen if I give a new expression here? Okay, so I'll now type the expression 5 division 6 star plus 10 star 20. Okay, so now what is your guess? Now there are two operators. Now there are actually three operators which are used in this expression. One is division, star, as well as plus. So if I now refer this chart, are there any questions? Okay. So if there are, okay, if I refer this chart now, star and division have higher priority than plus and minus. Star and front slash have higher priority than plus and minus. So they must be evaluated first, followed by the plus and minus. So if I come back to this, now whether 5 by 6 should be evaluated first or 10 star 20 should be evaluated first. This is decided by associativity. Associativity of even star and division is left to right. Hence, even for addition and subtraction, it is left to right. Hence, which is the, in this expression, which is the leftmost operator that is used out of star and division? 5 by 6. So what happens? Always 5 by 6 happens. So 5 by 6, what is your guess? The answer is 0 because it's an integer arithmetic. So 5 by 6 yields 0. After 5 by 6, 0 gets replaced. So the expression now looks like this: 0 plus 10 star 20. Now, out of plus and star, you have star as the highest priority. So what happens? 10 into 20 will happen. Okay. So the expression is re-evaluated intermediately like this. So 10 and 20 is 200. Sorry, it is plus, yeah, 10 into 20 is 200. So 0 plus 200. So since 0 plus 200 doesn't alter the answer, so the answer you get is 200. Okay. So the trick here is division occurs first from left to right, followed by multiplication, followed by addition. Okay. Right. I'll now compile this, run it. You can now see the result is 200. Okay. Okay. Now, interestingly, what is your guess in this? What will be the answer for this? 5 by 6 star 10 star 20. What will be the answer for this? Can anyone comment in the section? 5 by 6 star 10 star 20. Okay, so in the chat you can just if you want you can put the answers. What is your guess? Okay, yeah, Bhargav is telling the answer is 0. Even Pavani is telling the answer is 0. Both are correct. Because why? Because both are correct. Congratulations for both. Because leftmost operator, that is because front slash and star are of the same priority and the associativity is from left to right. So 5 by 6 gives 0. So 0 into 10 is 0 and 0 into 20 is 0. So you can see while you are deciding upon the associativity, when you are having multiple operators of the same priority, associativity plays a very critical role. Okay. So without associativity, then you might get some ambiguous answers also, right? Okay. So I hope you got to know about the two aspects. One is priority, or also it is referred to it as precedence. So I'm going to write it over here: priority, or precedence, and associativity. Okay. So these are two of the most important aspects of an expression evaluation. Okay. So priority as well as precedence. Okay. Right. So we now talked about arithmetic operators. I'll quickly go through the relational operators. Right. Right. So relational operators, there are basically I'll just write it over here: relational operators. Relational operators are uh, less than, less than or equal to, greater than, greater than or equal to, double equal to check equality, and not equal to check inequality. Okay. Right. So relational operators are used usually in decision making statements, right? So to demonstrate relational operators, I will now modify this program. This time I don't use any variables over here. Okay. I just use a printf, right? This printf will print what the relational operator returns. In the yesterday's session we saw that uh, say if num mod 2 is 0, if it is yes or true, what does that yes or true means is what we are going to see here, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 10 less than 20. Is 10 less than 20? The answer is yes, 10 is less than 20 itself, right? So let us see how it specifies this. Okay. So is 10 less than 20? We all know that 10 is less than 20. Let us see what is the value that gets returned out of this. So in the yesterday's algorithm and flowchart session, we saw that say 10 is 20 is true or yes. What is the meaning of true or yes? How it is interpreted in C is what we are going to see with this program demonstration. Okay, so I'm now going to compile this and run it. Of course, the name of this is should not be addition, but you just need to excuse me for this. I don't want to change the name of this and write a new program for that. Okay, so I'll clear the screen again, run it. What you are seeing is the result is printing 1. So it is clearly visible from this that yes or true in English like statement means a value of 1 in C. Okay, so yes or true was the convention that we used in the yesterday's session on algorithm and flowchart. Both are mapped to a value of 1 in C. Okay, so why it has returned 1, the relational operator less than, why it has returned 1 here? Because 10 is indeed less than 20. Okay, right. Now what if I change it to 10 is greater than 20? What if I change it to greater than operator? Someone can if you are if you can imagine what will be the output of this, you can just put it in the chat box. Now if I compile this program and run it, can anyone guess what is the output that gets printed in the printf? You can just put it in the chat section. Lata is telling 0. Yeah, many of you, Lata, Nandini, as well as Vaibhavi, they are all telling that the answer will be 0. Others, please mute the mic. Okay, so many of you are okay. Sandesh is telling 1, right? I think someone has not muted the microphone. Right, it's okay. Yeah, Sandesh is telling 1. Let's see that. Okay, first, what you should remember is 10 greater than 20? The answer no. 10 is not greater than 20. It is false. Let us see what does false or no gets mapped to. So I'm going to compile this now. You can see here it is now displaying 0. So what does this mean? No and false, those English like statements, they are mapped to a value of 0, right? So relational expressions or relational operators are very simple. They either get evaluated to 0 or 1. They either get evaluated to 0 or 1. They get evaluated to 1 if the condition that you are checking is true or yes. They get evaluated to 0 if the condition is false or no. Okay, right? So those who are typed 0, they are right, right? Fine. Yesterday I asked one interesting question with respect to relational operators. What if I specify phi greater than phi? Right? In fact, I also told the answer in the yesterday's class itself. Phi greater than phi. What is the answer? Is 5 greater than 5? Obviously no, right? So can anyone guess what will be the output of this? Can anyone guess what will be the output of this? Yes, Lata, Vaibhavi, they are all responding. Arpita also responded. Pavani, yeah, they are all right because phi is actually not greater than 5. Phi is equal to 5. So phi is not greater than 5, right? So it is false. So let us compile this and get to know the answers ourselves. You can see here now it is 0, correct? Because phi is not greater than 5, right? Now what if I replace this with equal to? Phi is phi greater than or equal to phi? So here I am demonstrating greater than or equal to operator. The answer is yes, phi is greater than or equal to phi. Whenever we use the term or, if one of them is true, it is true. Phi is of course not greater than phi, but it is equal to phi, right? So that is the difference between greater than and greater than or equal to symbol. Okay, So if you write 5 greater than 5, it returns false, but if you write 5 greater than or equal to 5, it returns true. Okay, so when I compile this now, it should now return, it should now return 1. If you are able to see here, it is now returning 1 because 5 is indeed equal to 5 and I have used greater than or equal to symbol. Similarly, if I replace it with less than or equal to, it should still return true because 5 is of course not less than 5, but it is equal to 5. So if one of the conditions satisfies, it is true itself, right? So when I run this now, compile it and run it, you can see here it has returned true because 5 is indeed less than or equal to 5. It is equal to 5, so less than or equal to condition gets satisfied. Similarly, I can try it with the equality. Is 5 equal to 5? This is a double equal to operator. 5 double equal to 5. The answer is true, so it will display 1. If it is true or yes, it displays 1. If it is no or false, it displays 0. You can see here it displays 1. Right. Now, what if I check for inequality? Is 5 not equal to 5? The answer is no, 5 is equal to 5. So this expression, relational expression, should get evaluated to false. So false means 0. So this is one of the most important concept. Please remember this. Okay. So result you get is 0 because 5 not equal to 5 is not true because 5 is equal to 5. Okay. Are there any questions at this stage? I would like to ask, take some questions for you if you have any questions. Till now I covered two operators, important operators, relational assignment, sorry, arithmetic operator as well as relational operator. Okay. Very similar to relational operator, you have logical operators. Uh, is anyone having any questions? You can ask it in the chat or you can unmute the mic and then ask the question. I'll wait again. I'll wait for a few seconds and then I'll continue. If you don't have any questions, right? So no questions. I hope that there are no questions from your end. So I'll continue. Right. So this is about these are all the things about operators. So if you want to logically categorize operators not by priority but by their grouping, you can categorize them like this. I'll just open one Word file and try to write all those categorizations. I'll increase the font size. The first type of operator is arithmetic operator. Okay. So this is a logical categorization of the operators by their group. Okay. So I just want to put one numbering here, right? Yeah. So first one is arithmetic operators. Second one is relational operators, right? Third one is logical operators. I'll talk about logical operators maybe when I talk about decision making or when the actual solution for the assignments will be taken up by the other faculty. Indirectly they will also talk about logical operators. Okay. Then we have increment bar decrement operators. Okay. Increment decrement operators followed by ternary operators. I'll just refer the official notes from the textbook itself so that I don't miss any of the things available here. Okay. Yeah. We have assignment operators, right? We have yeah, ternary operator is also called as a conditional operator. So in fact, the term conditional operator is given in the textbook. There is only one operator for this, hence I'm going to write it as operator, not as operators. Okay. Next, we have bitwise operators, right? We also have special operators. There are basically one special operator called size of. operator. Okay, so according to the textbook, your Balaguruswamy textbook, you can logically group the operators into 8 logical segments. This diagram categorizes the operators by their priorities. Okay, uh, by their priorities, and this categorization of the operators is by their logical behavior. Okay, so what all arithmetic operators are there? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and mod. How many relational operators are there? Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to, double equal to. Okay, how many logical operators are there? Exclamatory mark, logical not, logical and, logical or, and yeah, these are the 3 operators, logical operators. How many increment operators are there? Plus plus and minus minus. Out of that, there are 2 versions of plus plus and minus minus. One is pre increment or decrement and post increment or decrement. Which is the ternary operator available? A pair of question mark and colon represents a ternary operator. How many assignment operators are there? Equal to, plus equal to, minus equal to, star equal to, division equal to, mod equal to, and also left shift, right shift equal to, left shift equal to. Okay, so assignment operator is this one. All these 5 are the assignment counterparts of your arithmetic operators. Plus equal to, minus equal to, why this minus equal to has come here? Okay, so minus equal to, star equal to, front slash equal to, mod equal to, and these two are bitwise versions of the assignment operators, right? So how many bitwise operators are there? Tilde is a not bitwise operator, followed by logic bitwise and a single ampersand, followed by bitwise or a vertical bar symbol, followed by exclusive or, which is cap symbol, shift 6 from the keyboard. Okay, there are some special operators like size of, followed by star. Okay, pointer operator, address of operator. Okay, dot operator, arrow operator. So one interesting aspect about special operators is that, okay, those operators, they have the highest priority. You can see in this table, they are the ones which are shown in the first row itself. What does that mean? These parentheses, subscript operators, dot, arrow mark, increment, decrement, size of, you can see a typecast, most of them have highest priority. Okay, so these special operators usually have the highest priority. So that's why I have made them with a different color. It means that usually they have highest priority. Okay, so these are some of the logical categories of the various operators available in C, right? Yes, now coming to logical operators. Quickly, I'll take this part. Usually, logical operators and bitwise operators, they are very similar to the logical gates that you have seen. Logical gates that you have seen in your electronics courses, E&C courses, right? So you have a AND gate, OR gate, NOT gate, right? So their behavior of logical operators and bitwise operators are exactly same as your gates, logical gates of your electronics course. Okay, so obviously they have something called as truth tables. Okay, so they have truth tables to get evaluated, right? This next image shows the truth tables of few of the logical operators. Okay, right. So suppose you have a variable called a whose possible values in binaries are 0 1 0 1, and you have B 0 0 1 1. So if you mask this not of A, it is 0 0 1 0 0 1 1 1. Okay, right. So A has 0 1 0 1 and not of A will be 1 0 1 0. Okay, B is 0 0 1 1, not of B is 1 1 0 0. What if A logical or B? In the first row, A value is 0, B value is 0. So the output of A logical or B is 0 itself. A is 1, B is 0, A logical or B is 1, and even in the next two rows it is 1. So what you can conclude from this truth table of logical OR? If both the operands, this A and B, are called as operands and this is called as an operator, if both the operands are zeros, then the output for such answer is 0 also. But if any one of them is 1, you can see over here is 1 0 0 1, means any one of the operator is 1, the answer will be 1, and if both are ones, the answer will be 1. Exactly reverse of this is true, almost reverse of this is true for logical AND. If both the operands are ones, one means true or yes, if both the operands are ones, then logical AND returns 1. Okay, so this is how you should interpret this entire truth table, right? So I will write it in a English like statement over here. If both the operands are 1, what does 1 mean? True or yes, then logical AND returns 1, or true or yes. Okay, it should be if and only if and only if both the operands are 1, then logical AND returns 1, otherwise it returns 0. What does 0 means? No, it means false or no. Okay, so for programming purposes we don't use this terminology called true or yes, we even don't use no or false, we just use 0 or 1. Okay, so I'll make this bold. Okay, so this is the statement to be remembered for logical AND. Okay, if and only if both the operands are 1, then only logical AND returns 1, otherwise it returns 0. This is totally evident from this truth table. You can see here for the values of A and B, which is in the last row, A is 1, B is 1, the answer A logical and B is 1. For all the other scenarios 0 0 1 0 0 1, the answer is 0. Now how can I comment about logical OR? I can do the same thing. If and only if both the operands are 0, then logical OR returns 0, otherwise it returns 1. So you can again, it is evident from this truth table, if both the operands, you can concentrate on the first row, if both the operands A and B are zeros, then only logical OR returns 0. Rest in all the other cases wherein either A and B are 1 or 0, and or both A and B are ones, then in that case it returns 1. Okay, so if and only if both operands are 0, then logical OR returns 0, otherwise it returns 1, right? So you can remember these two statements for logical AND or logical or if you don't want to remember, you can remember this truth table, whichever you feel is okay for you. you can remember. And logical NOT is a unary operator because it has only one operand. You can observe here NOT of A, NOT of B, but these are these logical operators, logical OR and logical AND, are binary operators. I hope the differentiation between these operators, logical operators, are clear. If you have any doubts, you can just put it in the chat section. I'll wait for a few seconds. Okay, I guess there are no doubts regarding this. Right. So again, at this stage, since I introduced, in fact, I was not willing to demonstrate this. Since I introduced logical operators, let me just show the program also for that. Right. So a logical expression is an expression which has logical operators, but logical operators are cannot be written as is. You can use a mixture of relational operators with logical operators, right? So now what I am going to do is I am going to write this expression, say 10 greater than 20, logical or 5 not equal to 5. So this is one logical expression. Because why I am calling this a logical expression? Because it has a logical operator. It also has relational operators. Now if you see the priority of the operators, logical operator has the least priority compared to the relational operators. Hence relational operators are evaluated first. Okay, so what is 10 greater than 20? You know from the previous discussion that 10 is not greater than 20, so it becomes 0. So 10 greater than 20 is 0. So LHS of this logical OR is now 0. What about 5 not equal to 5? Is 5 not equal to 5? False. So even RHS of this logical expression is 0. So what is 0 logical or 0? As is evident from this truth table, 0 logical or 0, the answer is 0. So what should be the output of this program? You might have guessed it, it should return 0 as the answer, right? Why? Because 10 is 10 greater than 20 is false, so LHS gets replaced with 0, and 5 not equal to 5 is false, RHS gets replaced with 0. 0 or 0 is 0 itself, right? So let us see this fact. I'm going to clear the screen. Addition.c /a.out. You can see over here the answer is now showing it as 0. This is evident from the truth table again, right? Now I will modify the code slightly. Now this time, instead of not equal to 5, I will make it as equal to 5, right? So what did I do? Instead of not equal, I have just put it as double equal to. So 5 is indeed equal to 5. So RHS becomes 1. And as we had just made the statement just now, if any one of the operands is non-zero or 1 with respect to logical OR, it should return 1. So in this case, what has happened? LHS is 0 and RHS is 1. So the output of this logical OR is 1. So this is evident from the truth table here. A is 0, B is 1. So 0 or 1 is 1. So it should display the answer as 1. Okay. What you can observe here is it is now displaying 1. Now what if I simply put instead of logical OR, logical AND? Okay. Now what should happen? LHS is 0, RHS is 1. And as we have noted just now, if any one of the operands is 0, logical AND returns 0. So this answer now should be 0. Okay, now see here, it is now 0. Okay. Next, what if I now use bitwise, what if I use logical NOT? So how do I do it? I have put it like this. Okay, right. So the whole answer, so what is the output of this expression, we know that it is 0, right? Now, what is not of 0? If I refer this to table, if the value of a is 0, it becomes 1. If it is 1, it becomes 0. So it is very similar to your NOT gate, as you had seen it in the electronics course, right? So what should be the answer without NOT? The answer is 0, because LHS is 0, RHS is 1, and since it is logical AND, the answer is 0. And this gets complement, means it gets inverted, 0 becomes 1. Let us see what is the output of this. You can now see here, the previous output was 0, it is now showing 1 because that 0 got inverted to 1. Inverted means it got changed to 1. Okay, so you can think of this as an electronic level. So if the voltage is 0, it becomes 5 volts. If it is 5 volts, it becomes 1 volt. So it becomes 0 volt. So it's like a pure NOT gate of your electronics course. Are there any questions at this stage? So we have finished all the operators. Okay. I'm not going to talk about increment decrement operators. I'm also not going to talk about the bitwise operators. They are out of scope of this. What you can do is, if you want, you can practice some back questions of the Balaguruswamy textbook regarding this chapter. You will now be able to at least get to know the understanding of how operators are evaluated. Okay. So any doubts at this stage? Right. So I guess there are no doubts. Right. Now I will take up the last part of today's discussion, a brief about decision making. Right. Now, where these operators like relational operators and logical operators are used in real or in reality. So usually logical operators are used, logical or relational operators, logical and as well as relational operators are used whenever the problem definition involves decision making. Okay, so in fact in the yesterday's algorithm and flowchart session, we do consider, or we did consider, 2 or 3 programs or problem definitions which required decision making, like printing whether a number is even or odd, right? So I will write a program without actually using the if else. I would like you to show the program for performing decision making. So in such problems which involve decision making, we can make use of relational or logical operators, right? So for doing this, I will introduce this ternary operator. Okay, so indirectly I will introduce ternary operator to solve such simple problems. Okay, you can see here the ternary operator is a question mark and colon. Okay, so how this works is, I'm going to show it as a part of program. Okay, so I'll just use a separate name for that, ternary ternary.c. So this will be the last uh, aspect of today's session. Okay, more on decision making constructs, which is if else and other looping constructs, that will be covered in the tomorrow's session. Okay, right. So I will now try to write a program which displays whether a number is even or odd using the ternary operator. Okay, and there we will see how to use those relation operators. Okay, hash include stdio.h int main printf, enter a number because I want to check whether a number is even or odd. Before that, I need to specify that number as integer because I'm only interested in integer number. Okay, scanf, you can also give one space over here. Yeah, scanf percentage d comma ampersand num. Okay, now I want to display whether a number is even or odd, and that condition that we had already seen in the previous session on algorithm and flowchart. The condition I must write is whether that num mod 2 is 0, right? So we wrote in the flowchart, is num mod 2 0, or in the algorithm we say that check if num mod 2 is 0. If yes, go to step, otherwise go to step, right? So how do I do this here? Is like this. Num, I want to get the remainder, so I'm going to use the mod operator. Is num mod 2 0? How do I check for equality? Just now I have introduced you the relation operator. To check equality, you need to use double equal to. You just need to check whether the if you divide this number with 2 and check the remainder if it is 0. If this is the case, it means that number is even. So if this turns out to be true or yes or 1, then you must print that the number is even. So you will write printf %d is even. Okay, \n, right? Otherwise, what you will write? Printf %d, sorry, what is the value of this %d? So this %d should be replaced with that actual number, right? So after that I put a comma, then write num, right? In the next line I will take it for proper indentation purposes. I'm going to do this. This is called as indentation. Okay. Otherwise, I will write %d is odd \n num. Okay. Right. So here I have demonstrated you the usage of this ternary operator. This is a strange operator. Why the name ternary? Because it has 3 operands. If you observe, it has 3 operand. This is the first operand, operand number 1, operand number 2, followed by operand number 3. So how do I separate between operand number 1 and 2? How do I separate operand number 1 and 2? With a question mark. And how do I separate operand number 2 and operand number 3? With a colon. Okay. So the general syntax of this ternary operator goes like this. I'll open a new page. Right. So the general syntax goes like this. I'll put it in a black color. Okay. Operand 1 question mark, operand 2 colon, operand 3. Okay. So this is a very strange operator because it has 3 operands. Whatever the operators that you see in C programming language, they are most of the time a unary operator or binary operator, but this one is a ternary operator. Okay. So most of the operators are either unary or binary operators. Okay. All of your arithmetic operator and relation operators are binary operators. Okay, right? But here not symbol, tilde symbol or not equal to, or this exclamatory mark or not symbol, it's a unary operator. Okay, and ampersand that you see in the scanf, they are unary operators. Okay, so most of the operators in C are either unary or binary. One of the special case of operator that is available in C is your ternary operator, which has 3 operands. So how do you know that the operand is unary or binary? Depending on the operators. If it has 1 operand, it is unary. If it has 2 operands, it is binary. And if it has 3 operands, it is ternary operator. Okay. Now I will quickly tell you how this ternary operator works. It first evaluates the expression which acts as a operand 1. Okay. So if operand 1 is evaluated to true or yes or 1, so I need to remove this in C programming. I just need to specify 1 here. 1 means true or yes. So if operand 1 is evaluated to 1, then operand 2 is executed. Okay. Otherwise, what is the meaning of otherwise? This operand 1 is not evaluated to true, means it is evaluated to false. Otherwise, operand 3 is executed. In fact, it should be evaluated. Okay, executed or evaluated. Okay, is evaluated. So I'll read it once again. If operand 1 is evaluated to true, then operand 2 is executed, otherwise operand 3 is executed. Okay, right? So if it is true, operand 2 is evaluated. If it is false, operand 3 is evaluated. You can think of this as a decision making. If it is true, operand 2 is evaluated. If it is false, operand 3 is evaluated. You can observe here one thing, that at one time operand 2 and operand 3 are not evaluated at the same time. They are evaluated only once. If operand 2 is evaluated, then operand 3 will be left out. If operand 3 is evaluated, operand 2 will be left out because operand 1 would have been false. So this is the simplest way to introduce decision making features into your C programming without actually learning if else. Okay, so formally the decision making is handled in C using if else constructs, but without that also you can do it by using ternary operator. It's actually a small hack you can think of. Okay, so now I'll quickly come back to this program because our time is running out. It is already 11:40 and by 12 o'clock I have to finish it, right? So if this num mod 2 is actually 0, if it is indeed 0, operand 2 will be executed. And what is the content of operand 2? It is just a printf which prints the number is even. What if this num mod 2 is not equal to 0? Means what is it? It is false. Operand 3 will be evaluated, which is the printf that percentage %d is odd, so that the number is odd will be displayed. So quickly I am going to compile this and show the output of this. Colon wq. I'll clear the screen. cc ternary.c /a.out. I'm going to enter a number, say 6. 6 is a even number. So when I press enter, it says 6 is even. Now this time I'll introduce a number which is not even. It says 9 is odd. Okay, right. So this is how you can make use of ternary operator. Now I will modify this program to one more program that we can consider at this stage is checking whether a number is greater than the other, right? So this program also, this problem definition was considered in algorithm and flowchart session in the previous session, right? So I can write the easy program implementation just by using ternary operators, right? So now I will introduce two numbers. I'll call them as a and b. Okay, and I should display which is greater. Okay, so now I will have to change the printf, enter two numbers, right? So my scanf should change accordingly. Now it will have two percentage d's, and the first percentage d will read a and second percentage d will read b. So I need to print which is greater than the other. So I will have to write the condition as a greater than b. If a is indeed greater than b, I should display a is greater. Remember, I'm not interested in printing the number, I just want to print a is greater. Okay, or if you're really interested to print the value of that a, so you can just write percentage d is greater comma a. In the else part you need to write else part in the sense after the colon, the third operand, you need to modify this printf like this. Percentage d is greater means what if the a greater than b is false, so indeed in that case b will be greater, so you will write it as b. Okay, so with this quick change, my program is now equipped to compare two numbers and print the greater among that. Okay, let me compile this now. Before I go compilation, is the ternary operator usage clear? Is it clear? Are you having any doubts at this stage? Okay, excellent. Thank you for the chat. Bhargav says that you don't have he don't have any issues. Okay, any questions? Right, so I'll go ahead. Fine. uh, so if a is indeed greater than b, operand 2 gets evaluated and if A is not greater than B, operand 3 gets evaluated. Okay, so let me compile this code. Ternary.c, clear the screen, /a.out. I enter two numbers 10 and 20. So in this case, A is 10, B is 20. So A greater than B should become false. So operand 3 should get evaluated and it should print 20 greater than 20 is greater. Okay, so when I press enter, you immediately see that it displays 20 is greater. So this is the printf which is available in the operand 3. Now what if I enter 20 and 10? This case, A is indeed greater than B. So whatever is the expression that is written in operand 2, which is a printf, that gets displayed. So you can see here the output is still same. You might see here in both scenarios the output is same, but in the program the different operand would have been executed in the ternary operator. Okay, right? So in the first scenario wherein A was 10 and B was 20, operand 3 would be evaluated or executed. In the second input wherein A is 10 and B is 20, operand 1 would have been, sorry, operand 2 would have been evaluated because 20 is greater than 10. Okay, right. So like this you can just make use of ternary operator to quickly write simple programs that make use of decision making. Okay, thank you all for attending to today's session.